Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into another story in our Men of God series. And this one, wow, it's about a man whose faith was so powerful, it literally fueled one of the craziest, most daring missions of the entire 20th century.
I mean, just listen to that nickname, God's Smuggler. Seriously, it sounds like the title of a blockbuster spy movie, right? But this wasn't fiction. This was the life of a real man, Andrew Bijl, or as pretty much everyone knew him, Brother Andrew. So how on earth did he get a title like that? Well, let's dive in and find out.
So, who was this guy really? What possesses a person to risk everything, everything, to smuggle Bibles into communist countries? You might think he started out as some kind of saint, but that's not it at all. His story actually begins in a place of incredible pain.
So let's get the basics down. He was born Anne van der Bijl in the Netherlands. Pretty humble beginnings, son of a poor blacksmith. He ends up becoming a soldier, then the founder of this huge global organization called Open Doors, and even a best-selling author. But just looking at these bullet points, it doesn't even begin to tell the real story. The journey from A to B was just, well, it was anything but ordinary. And to really get who he became, you have to look at who he was first. To understand the missionary, you've got to understand this soldier, because his entire life's mission was really born from the fires of war, a past that absolutely haunted him, but also, weirdly enough, put him on a totally new path.
See, when he was a young soldier in Indonesia, he was part of something truly horrific, a village massacre. And that experience it broke him, completely shattered him. He was haunted by one image in particular, a mother and her baby killed by a single bullet. You can imagine, that kind of trauma leaves scars you can't see. And then, a moment that changed his entire life's trajectory. He got wounded in battle, an ankle injury. And while he was laid up, recovering, he started reading a Bible that his mom had given him. It's wild to think about. In that moment of physical healing but emotional chaos, something else started to grow. A spiritual awakening. It's like looking at two totally different people, right? On one side, you have the soldier, haunted, broken, full of trauma. And then you have the believer, full of purpose, inspired on a mission. So what happened? What was the spark that flipped that switch so dramatically? Well, this was it. In 1955, he goes on a trip to communist Poland. He's there for a youth festival, but he stumbles upon these Christian churches that are just struggling to survive under intense persecution. And then he reads this one verse from the Bible, "Wake up and strengthen what remains and is about to die." It just hit him like a bolt of lightning. He saw it. The remains about to die, that was the church in these oppressed countries. And in that moment, he knew. He knew exactly what he was meant to do. And that calling, it threw him right into the deep end of the Cold War. His new mission was, let's be honest, completely insane. It was dangerous. It was radical. He was going to smuggle Bibles and hope to Christians trapped behind the Iron Curtain. Okay, so every good smuggler needs a getaway car, right? Well, his was a little different. It was a humble, kind of unassuming Volkswagen Beetle. But that little car became so much more. It became the icon of his whole ministry, Open Doors. It was the chariot he used to sneak Bibles past armed guards at the world's most tense borders. And get this, his method was the most counterintuitive thing you can imagine. He didn't build secret compartments or anything. No, he'd drive up to a heavily guarded checkpoint, and he'd leave the Bible sitting out in plain sight on the passenger seat. His whole strategy was based on a prayer. It was this act of just pure, audacious faith. And the crazy part? It worked. Over and over again. So this thing that started with one trip to Poland, it just exploded. Before he knew it, he was driving that same little VW Beetle all the way to Moscow. Then he set his sights on China, right in the middle of the Cultural Revolution. And then Cuba. Basically, if a country slammed its doors shut, that's exactly where he wanted to go.
But, a mission this big, it was never going to stay a one-man show for long. The need was just too great. So his personal mission grew into an organization, Open Doors. And it went from one guy in a car to this massive international operation pulling off some seriously sophisticated stuff.
And when I say sophisticated, I mean it. By 1981, they pulled off their most legendary mission. It was called Project Pearl. They used a custom-built barge to deliver 1 million Bibles to a beach in China where thousands of people were waiting. And they did it all in a single night. 1 million. Just let that sink in. It's an absolutely mind-blowing number. It just shows you how far that initial spark had grown. Okay, so what happens when your main target, the Iron Curtain, just disappears? The Berlin Wall comes down, communism in Europe collapses. Is the mission over? Well, for Brother Andrew and Open Doors, not even close. The mission didn't end. It just evolved.
They were incredibly smart about it. As soon as the walls came down in Europe, they pivoted. They shifted their focus to other parts of the world where the church was under threat, especially in the Muslim world. It was a brilliant move, really, just adapting to how the world was changing. And the legacy he left behind is just huge. The organization he started from scratch, Open Doors, now gives out something like 300,000 Bibles and 1.5 million other Christian materials every single year. So this isn't just a cool history story we're telling. This is a living, breathing mission that's still happening right now.
Think about that. It all started with one guy in one little car on his way to Poland. And today, the organization he founded is working in 77 countries across the globe. They're not just delivering Bibles anymore either. They're providing aid, counseling for trauma, fighting for people's rights. It's just incredible. A real testament to that one powerful moment he had back in 1955.
So his whole life really poses this one powerful question. What happens when unshakable faith goes up against a seemingly immovable wall? For Brother Andrew, the answer was simple. The wall doesn't stand a chance. His life is just proof that one person with enough conviction really can take on empires and give hope to millions. Brother Andrew passed away in 2022, but his legacy, well, the doors he kicked open are still wide open today. Just a remarkable story of faith in action. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next one.